Have you ever wondered why some people stay broke their entire lives, while others seem to climb the ladder of wealth almost effortlessly? The truth is, it's not always about intelligence, opportunity, or even luck. It often comes down to something much simpler: the habits that control your daily life. Money is not just numbers in a bank account. It's the reflection of your choices, your mindset, and your behavior over time. Poor people and rich people don't just live differently. They think differently. They act differently, and they repeat very different daily habits. And here's the shocking part. Many of the habits that keep people broke feel normal. They are so common that most people don't even realize they are slowly trapping themselves in financial chains. That's why in this video, we're going to expose the 7 money habits that are silently keeping you poor. And more importantly, I'll show you how the rich escape them and turn their money into a tool that works for them instead of against them. If you can recognize these habits in your own life and start breaking them, your entire financial future can change. Before we jump into the list, let me make something clear. This isn't about judging or shaming anyone for being broke. We all start somewhere. Most of us grew up without real financial education. Schools rarely teach us how to handle money, how to invest, or how to build wealth. Instead, we are surrounded by a culture that encourages spending, debt, and instant gratification. So if you find yourself struggling, it's not because you're a failure. It's because the system was designed to keep you uninformed. But once you learn these rules, you can break free. Think about it like this: money flows to those who respect it. If you treat money carelessly, it disappears. If you treat money with discipline and strategy, it multiplies. The poor see money as something to use and lose, while the rich see money as a soldier. Every dollar is put to work to bring back more dollars. That's the mindset shift we're going to dive into. And here's why this matters right now. In today's world, the gap between rich and poor is growing faster than ever. Inflation eats away at your paycheck, debt traps millions of people, and financial stress has become one of the leading causes of anxiety and even depression. But at the same time, opportunities to build wealth have never been greater. With the internet, investing apps, and access to global markets, even someone starting with very little can create financial freedom if they adopt the right habits. So if you've ever felt stuck living paycheck to paycheck, if you've ever felt like no matter how hard you work, you can't get ahead, this video is for you, because the truth is, working harder isn't always the answer. Working smarter, changing your habits, and reprogramming your financial mindset is what separates those who stay broke from those who build wealth. In the next parts of this video, we're going to break down each of the 7 deadly money habits. One by one, we'll look at how they keep people trapped, and I'll show you the exact ways the wealthy avoid them, or replace them with habits that generate freedom and growth. By the end, you'll have a blueprint you can start applying today, no matter your income level. So, let's get started. This is part 1, the introduction to breaking free from the cycle of poverty. And in part 2, we'll dive into the at first toxic habit that keeps people poor. And trust me, it's one you've probably been guilty of yourself. The very first habit that keeps people poor is one of the most obvious, yet one of the most dangerous: spending more than you earn. It sounds simple, but it's a trap that millions of people fall into every single day. And the truth is, this one habit alone is enough to keep you broke for your entire life. Think about how most people live. The moment their paycheck hits their account, it's already gone. Rent, bills, credit card payments, dinners out, new clothes, the latest gadgets. The money disappears almost instantly. And for many, it doesn't just disappear. They actually end up spending more than they make, relying on credit cards, loans, or buy now, pay later services just to maintain a lifestyle they can't truly afford. This creates a cycle of debt that feels impossible to escape. Here's the harsh reality. You can't build wealth if you're living above your means. If every month you spend a little more than you earn, you're digging a financial hole that gets deeper and deeper. And every dollar of debt you carry is like a weight tied to your ankles. They're pulling you down and keeping you from ever moving forward. Now, let's look at how the rich handle this. Rich people don't necessarily make millions from the start. In fact, many wealthy individuals began with average salaries. But what they understood early on is that wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. They mastered the discipline of living below their means, instead of chasing status symbols or trying to impress others. They focus on building a strong financial foundation. Here's a simple example. Imagine two people both earning $3,000 a month. One spends $3,200 each month, always going into debt. The other spends only $2,500 and saves or invests the remaining $500. At the end of the year, one person is deeper in debt and more stressed than ever, while the other has $6,000 working for them in savings or investments. Over time, that small difference becomes massive. One person is chained to creditors, while the other is on the path to freedom. Why do so many people fall into this trap? One reason is lifestyle inflation. The moment they get a raise, instead of saving or investing, they upgrade their lifestyle. A bigger paycheck becomes a bigger car payment, a bigger apartment, or more dinners out. And so no matter how much their income grows, they never actually get ahead. They remain stuck in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Another reason is the culture we live in. We are constantly bombarded with advertisements telling us to buy more, spend more, and treat ourselves. Social media makes it worse because people compare themselves to others online and feel pressured to keep up appearances. But remember this, the person showing off their luxury lifestyle on Instagram might be drowning in debt behind the scenes. Real wealth isn't flashy, it's quiet, disciplined, and patient. So how do you escape this habit? The rich apply a simple but powerful rule. Pay yourself first. Instead of spending and hoping something is left at the end of the month, they save or invest a portion of their income immediately. Before doing anything else, it could be 10%, 20%, or even more. But the key is consistency. Once that money is set aside, they learn to live with what's left. And over time, those savings grow into investments. And those investments grow into wealth. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop thinking of saving as optional. Saving and investing should be your top priority. Your first bill every month. When you flip that mindset, everything changes. Because no matter how much money you earn, if you always spend more than you make, you'll always be broke. But if you consistently live below your means, even with a modest income, you can build wealth and freedom. So remember this rule. It's not about what you earn. It's about what you keep. Spending more than you earn is the fastest way to stay poor. And breaking this habit is the first step toward financial freedom. In the next part, we'll dive into another toxic habit that silently destroys your financial future. One that feels safe, but in reality, it guarantees that your money will never grow. The second money habit that keeps people poor is one that feels safe, but is actually dangerous. Not investing your money. So many people believe that keeping their savings in a regular bank account is the smartest thing they can do. They think, at least my money is safe there. But here's the truth. Money that just sits in a bank is slowly dying. Inflation eats away at its value year after year, and by the time you actually need it, it buys far less than it did before. Think about this for a moment. If you keep $10,000 in a savings account earning close to zero interest, and inflation is 5% per year, then after 1 year, your money has already lost $500 in value. You didn't spend it, but it lost power. After 10 years, you've lost thousands simply because you didn't put that money to work. This is one of the most silent and dangerous traps keeping people poor. The wealthy understand something different. Money must move, money must work. If you let it sit still, it weakens. But when you put it into the right investments, it grows, it multiplies, and it creates freedom. That's why rich people are always looking for opportunities: stocks, index funds, real estate, businesses, even education. Anything that turns today's dollar into $2 tomorrow. Now, why don't most people invest? There are three big reasons. First, fear. They are afraid of losing money, so they do nothing. Second, ignorance. No one taught them how investing works, and schools rarely cover this critical skill. Third, impatience. People want to see results instantly, and when investing takes time, they give up before the results arrive. But here's the truth: the earlier you start investing, the less you need to invest. Overall, this is the magic of compound interest. Means your money doesn't just grow, it grows on top of its own growth. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world because of how powerful it is. The rich know this. That's why they invest consistently, even if it's small amounts at first, because they understand the power of time. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine two people. One starts investing $200 a month at age 20, and another starts investing $200 a month at age 35. By the time they're 60, the first person will have hundreds of thousands of dollars more, not because they invested more money, but because they started earlier and gave compound interest time to do its work. That's the advantage the rich never miss out on. So, how do you break this habit of not investing? You start small. You don't need thousands to begin. Today, with investing apps and fractional shares, you can start with as little as $10 or $20. The key is to get into the habit of putting money aside and letting it grow. Over time, the amounts add up and the discipline becomes natural. Another important step is education. Take time to learn about investing. Read books, watch videos, follow trusted experts. The more you learn, the less afraid you'll feel, and the more confident you'll become in making smart decisions. Remember, the rich aren't necessarily smarter, they're just more informed. They make money work for them instead of letting it sit idle. The bottom line is this: not investing is actually one of the riskiest financial decisions you can make. It guarantees that your money will lose value over time. But when you choose to invest, even small amounts, you open the door to growth, freedom, and possibilities that most people will never experience. So if you want to escape the cycle of poverty, stop letting your money rot in a bank account, start small, stay consistent, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Because the wealthy don't just earn money, they make sure their money earns money for them. In the next part, we'll uncover another destructive habit that keeps people broke, one that looks harmless at first, but traps millions in a cycle of debt they can't escape. The third money habit that keeps people poor is living on debt. Credit cards, loans, and easy money may look like tools of convenience, but for most people, they turn into chains of financial slavery. What starts as a way to buy something small before payday quickly becomes a lifestyle. And before you know it, every dollar you earn is already promised to someone else. Let's be clear, not all debt is the same. Rich people use debt strategically, often to invest in assets that generate more income. For example, they might borrow money to buy real estate that pays them rent, or to expand a business that multiplies their wealth. But poor people, they usually use debt to buy things that lose value immediately. Clothes, cars, electronics, vacations. Instead of debt working for them, they work for their debt. Credit cards are one of the biggest traps. They promise rewards, points, and cashback, but behind the scenes, the average interest rate is over 20%. That means if you buy a $1,000 TV on a card and only make minimum payments, you could end up paying $2,000 or more for something that isn't even worth half that by the time you finish paying. This is how banks get rich while keeping you broke. Another hidden danger is the buy now, pay later trend. It feels harmless to split a purchase into small payments, But what happens when you do this 5, 10, or 20 times across different items? Suddenly your entire paycheck is chopped up into little obligations, and you can't even breathe financially. You're trapped in a cycle where every month's income is already spent before it even arrives. The wealthy escape this trap because they view debt differently. They ask one simple question before borrowing: will this debt make me richer or will it make me poorer? If the answer is poorer, they walk away. They understand that every interest payment is money flowing out of their pocket and into someone else's. That's why they avoid consumer debt at all costs. Living on debt also destroys your peace of mind. Think about how stressful it feels when you know bills are piling up, when collectors are calling, when you're worried about whether you can even make the minimum payments. This stress steals your energy, your focus, and even your health. Financial slavery doesn't just keep you poor, it breaks your spirit. So how do you break free from this habit? First, stop using debt to fund your lifestyle. If you can't pay for it in cash, it means you can't afford it. Second, create a plan to pay off your existing debt. Start with the smallest debt first to build momentum, or the highest interest debt to save money in the long run. But whatever method you choose, commit to it. Third, change your relationship with credit. Credit should be a tool, not a crutch. If you use it, make sure it's tied to investments or necessary opportunities, not instant gratification. The rich know that freedom comes when your money works for you, not against you. As long as you are paying high interest on consumer debt, your money is working for the bank, not for your future. And until you reverse that, wealth will always feel out of reach. So remember, debt can either be a ladder or a cage. For the poor, it's almost always a cage. But if you shift your mindset, if you start using debt carefully or avoiding it altogether, you'll finally take control of your financial life. In the next part, we're going to explore another toxic money habit that keeps people poor. One that doesn't involve overspending or debt, but something even more invisible: a lack of financial planning and budgeting. The fourth money habit that keeps people poor is living without a financial plan. It might sound boring, even unnecessary, but here's the truth. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will disappear. And that's exactly what happens to millions of people every single month. They work hard, collect their paycheck, and within weeks, sometimes even days, they have nothing left to show for it. Why? Because there is no plan, there is no budget, there is no control. Most people think budgeting is restrictive, like a financial diet. They imagine it means no fun, no enjoyment, no freedom. But the reality is the opposite. A budget doesn't limit you, it empowers you. It gives you control over your money instead of letting money control you. When you have a clear plan, you can spend on what truly matters, save consistently, and invest with purpose. Without it, you drift aimlessly, constantly reacting to financial surprises and emergencies. Let me paint a picture. Imagine someone earning $4,000 a month. Without a budget, they spend randomly: $800 on rent, $700 on food, $400 on a car payment, $300 on entertainment, $200 on subscriptions, and who knows where the rest goes. At the end of the month, they wonder why they are broke. But with a simple plan, that same person could cover their needs, save at least 20%, invest another portion, and still have money left for enjoyment, all without stress. The difference isn't the income, it's the plan. The wealthy know this. They track every dollar, not because they're obsessed with money, but because they understand money is a tool. They don't let a single dollar slip away unnoticed. They assign each dollar a job. This one goes to investments, this one to savings, this one to expenses, this one to fun. It's about intentional living, and intentional living creates wealth. On the other hand, poor people often live reactively. They say things like, "I'll save whatever is left at the end of the month." But the truth is, nothing is ever left. Something always comes up: a new bill, a new purchase, a new distraction. This reactive approach guarantees that saving and investing never happen. Month after month, year after year, the cycle repeats. No plan, no progress. Another danger of not planning is financial emergencies. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, medical bills appear, jobs are lost. Without an emergency fund, one unexpected event can wipe out everything you have and push you into debt. The rich prepare for this by building safety nets, at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. It doesn't happen overnight, but by planning, they create security that protects them from disaster. So how do you break this habit? First, create a simple budget. It doesn't need to be complicated. Track your income and expenses for 1 month. Write down every dollar. Then assign percentages, maybe 50% to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to saving and investing. Adjust these numbers to fit your goals, but make sure saving and investing are non-negotiable. Second, review your plan regularly. Life changes, incomes change, expenses change. Your plan should adapt with you. Third, build an emergency fund as soon as possible, even if it's small at first. The habit of setting aside money for emergencies creates peace of mind. The truth is, wealth doesn't just happen by accident. It's built on purpose, and purpose requires planning. You can't stumble into financial freedom. You must decide, you must prepare, and you must create a roadmap for your money. The rich know where their money goes. The poor simply wonder where it went. So remember this, a budget is not a prison. It's a plan for freedom. It's the tool that takes you from paycheck to paycheck survival to financial growth. Without it, you're guaranteed to stay stuck. With it, you finally gain control over your future. In the next part, we'll uncover yet another destructive money habit that keeps people trapped, ignoring financial education, and why the wealthy never stop learning about money. The fifth money habit that keeps people poor is ignoring financial education. And this one is perhaps the most overlooked of all, because let's be honest, most people spend years in school learning math, science, history, and literature, but almost no time learning how money actually works. We're told to get a job, earn a paycheck, and somehow everything will be fine. But without financial education, the reality is far from fine. People end up trapped in debt, overspending, and living paycheck to paycheck simply because they don't know better. Think about this. How many people know how to create a budget, how to invest, how to manage credit, or how to build wealth? For most, the answer is very few, and yet these are the exact skills that determine your financial future. The truth is, ignorance is expensive. What you don't know about money will always cost you. In interest payments, in missed opportunities, and in years of financial stress. The wealthy understand something most people don't. Money is a subject you must study. Just like you study medicine to be a doctor or law to be a lawyer, you must study money to be financially free. That's why the rich are constantly reading books, attending seminars, listening to podcasts, and surrounding themselves with mentors and advisors who expand their knowledge. They never assume they know it all, because they understand the financial world is always changing. New opportunities, new risks, new tools, and the more they learn, the better prepared they are to take advantage. Poor people, on the other hand, often say things like, "I'm just not good with money," or "I'll figure it out later." But later never comes, and that lack of education keeps them stuck. They fall for scams, chase get-rich-quick schemes, or simply let inflation eat away their savings because they don't know how to invest. The cost of not learning is enormous, but because it's invisible, most people never realize how much it's hurting. Then let's take a simple example. Imagine two people both earn $50,000 a year. One spends everything and never invests because they don't know how the other spends time learning about index funds and compound interest, and invests just $500 a month. After 20 years, the first person has nothing, while the second has hundreds of thousands of dollars. The only difference is education. One learned how money works, and the other didn't. So how do you break this habit? First, commit to lifelong learning. Read at least one book on money every few months. Some of the most powerful lessons are in classics like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, or The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Second, use free resources. In today's world, there are countless videos, podcasts, and articles available online that can teach you the basics of budgeting, investing, and financial growth. Third, surround yourself with people who know more than you. Conversations shape your mindset. If you only talk with people who complain about money, you'll stay stuck. But if you learn from those who build and grow wealth, you'll start adopting their mindset. The key is this: knowledge is leverage. The more you know about money, the more control you have over it. The less you know, the more control money has over you. The wealthy keep learning because they know ignorance is the most expensive habit of all. Every book, every course, every bit of knowledge compounds, just like money does, creating more opportunities, more confidence, and more freedom. So don't fall for the lie that financial education is optional. It's essential. It's the foundation for everything else, because without it, you will keep repeating the same mistakes, staying stuck in the same cycle. But with it, you gain the tools to finally break free. In the next part, we'll expose another destructive habit that keeps people poor: chasing instant gratification, the constant need for quick rewards that sabotages long-term wealth. The sixth money habit that keeps people poor is chasing instant gratification. This one is everywhere in modern society. We live in a world where everything is designed for right now. Fast food, same-day delivery, one-click shopping, endless scrolling. Our brains are constantly trained to want pleasure instantly. And when this mindset crosses over into money, it becomes deadly for your financial future. Think about how most people use their paycheck. The moment money arrives, they feel an urge to reward themselves. Finally, I can buy those new shoes. Finally, I can go out and eat at that fancy restaurant. Or worse, finally, I can afford that new phone. But here's the truth: those rewards don't actually make you richer. They give you a temporary high, but they leave you broke, trapped, and stressed once the bill comes due. The problem with instant gratification is that it steals from your future. Every time you choose short-term pleasure over long-term gain, you are sacrificing the life you could have for a moment of comfort. Today, this is why so many people stay stuck. Because they can't delay gratification. They can't say no to what they want now in order to build what they want most. The rich understand the opposite principle. Delayed gratification. They are willing to wait, to sacrifice today so they can enjoy 10 times more tomorrow. Instead of buying luxury items with debt, they invest first, build assets, and then let those assets pay for their luxuries. When they buy something expensive, it's not draining their future. It's funded by the wealth they've already built. Let's use an example. Imagine someone spends $5 a day on coffee. It feels like nothing, just a small treat. But over a year, that's nearly $2,000 gone. Now, if they invested that $2,000 every year into the stock market, in 20 years, they could have tens of thousands of dollars. That's the power of delayed gratification, turning today's little pleasures into tomorrow's freedom. Psychologists call this the marshmallow test. Kids were given one marshmallow and told they could eat it now, or wait a little and get two. Some kids grabbed it right away, others waited and doubled their reward. Years later, studies showed the kids who could wait were more successful in life, school, and even finances. Why? Because the ability to delay gratification is directly tied to long-term success. Poor people often convince themselves with phrases like, "You only live once," or "What's the point of saving if I can't enjoy my money now?" But this thinking is exactly what keeps them stuck. Life should be enjoyed, yes, but not at the cost of your future. There's a difference between enjoying your money and wasting your money. The rich know this difference, and they play the long game, So how do you break free from the trap of instant gratification? Start by asking yourself one question before every purchase. Do I want this because it adds value to my life, or because it feels good right now? If the answer is the second, pause. Give yourself 24 hours before buying. Often, the desire fades, and you realize you didn't need it after all. Next, set long-term goals. When you know what you're working toward, like financial freedom, owning a home, or starting a business, it becomes easier to say no to short-term temptations. Finally, build habits that reward patience. Invest regularly, save automatically, and remind yourself that every dollar delayed today can multiply tomorrow. The truth is, wealth isn't built in an instant. It's built over years of consistent choices. The more you train yourself to delay gratification, the more powerful your future becomes. Because while others are chasing quick pleasures, you'll be building lasting freedom. In the next and final part, we'll explore the last toxic habit that keeps people poor, and then tie everything together with a powerful conclusion that shows how the rich escape all of these traps. We've now arrived at the final money habit that keeps people poor, and this one is subtle, but extremely powerful: giving up too soon. So many people start with good intentions. They make a budget. They save for a few months. They invest a little. They try to build better habits. But the moment things get tough, the moment they don't see instant results, they quit. They tell themselves, "It's not working," or "I'll try again later," and they slip right back into the same cycle of poverty. This is the biggest difference between the rich and the poor. Not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It's persistence. The rich stay consistent. They understand that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. They know that discipline is more powerful than motivation, and that small steps repeated over time create massive results. Meanwhile, the poor chase quick fixes, fast money, and shortcuts. And when they don't work, they give up completely. Think about compound interest again. In the beginning, progress feels painfully slow. Your investments look tiny. Your savings don't seem impressive. Your efforts feel invisible. But over years, the growth becomes exponential. Those who quit never see this stage. They stop just before the breakthrough, and that's why they stay poor. The wealthy escape this habit because they master patience. They stick to the plan even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when results aren't immediate. They know that time rewards those who stay consistent, and that's why they win. So let's take a step back and recap. What are the 7 money habits that keep people poor? 1. Spending more than you earn. Not investing your money, living on debt and bad credit habits. Lacking financial planning and budgeting. 5. Ignoring financial education. Chasing instant gratification, giving up too soon. Each of these habits might seem small on their own, but together they form an invisible prison. They keep you trapped, working harder but never moving forward. The good news: you have the power to break free. Wealth isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to change their habits, shift their mindset, and stay consistent over time. Remember, money is a tool. If you control it, it will serve you. If you ignore it, it will control you. The choice is yours. Will you keep repeating the same habits that keep you poor? Or will you take action, break the cycle, and start building the future you deserve? And now, here's my challenge for you. Don't just watch this video and move on. Take one action today. Maybe it's creating a budget. Maybe it's setting up your first investment. Maybe it's reading a book about money. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you start, because the moment you take action, you've already separated yourself from the majority who stay stuck. If this video gave you value, do me a favor. Hit the like button so more people can see this message. Leave a comment below telling me which habit you're going to break first. I want to hear from you. And of course, make sure you subscribe and follow Wealth Key Lab for more powerful lessons on money, wealth, and freedom. Your support helps this community grow, and together we can change the way people think about money. This is Wealth Key Lab, reminding you your habits create your future. Break the wrong ones, build the right ones, and your life will never be the same.